So after I came back to Philadelphia, I mean came back to Richmond, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Um, so um so I started when I stopped working as an architect and I started to do art here in Richmond. Again, I was saying that there wasn't much public art here in Richmond. And so I always kind of found that weird. And the minute I kind of started showing work here, I kind of leaned into public art. Um, and I would say 2012 is when it kind of like started to boost up. There was a time in which mural, the Richmond mural project came to town, and also the RVA Street Art Festival happened in 2012. And around 2012 is when I kind of became a full-time artist here and started to kind of do a ton of public art. And a lot of my art leans into community engagement, and that is specifically from seeing that and experiencing that growing up in Philadelphia. And so that's really where my art leans. Absolutely. So the Mending Walls project really is based around two people coming together and having this authentic conversation around social and racial justice. It was inspired by the murder of George Floyd and a conversation that I had with a fellow artist who just happens to be very different from me, and us seeing that situation very different, but because of the lens of our experiences in our past. And so that conversation actually, and that mural that you're talking about was actually completed by, was a collaboration between myself and him. And the work was inspired around this conversation that talks about how our childhood really frames the way we see the world and we take in information. And so we did that in this like really playful, whimsical way of using our toys to express our childhood, and how, though we're not too far away in age, but um, we grew up in two different places. And so how do those toys show our experiences in that? And so Matt Lively is that artist. And we did that. Actually, I call that my cheat wall because I did two walls for the Mending Walls project, but the conversation with Matt Lively was so important. It's really what made me think about and inspired me to start the Mending Walls project. Um, so it's funny. I don't have many, but it's everyone. Like I don't have anyone that I can point to, if you will, and name them to you. But I mean, like all of like especially like old school graffiti culture, is really what I leaned into because it's what made me so excited about art when I was young. And um, my current work, the geometric shapes and the color theory and the bright colors, that really comes from architecture. Like it comes from my background in architecture and drafting and technical drafting, and kind of merging that with the things that inspire me every day. I really love movement in my work. So those figures are always contrasting those shapes and colors and things like that. And they always kind of give a direction, if you will. And so yeah, architecture, that's the way that architecture kind of plays a role in my work today. In my background and my past kind of like come together to make the style that I have now. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's hard to envision without it because I have it, and but it definitely makes me think about the way people will experience the work when I'm designing the work.
Mhm.
And I think that is what you, as an architect or any type of interior designer, you are playing with and sculpting the way someone experiences a space. And I always come at my work in that manner. It's just as important as the actual image on the wall. I'm thinking about how I'm influencing the environment around where the mural will live. That's a good question. I mean, it's very cliche to say life, but a lot of my work speaks for and with the community. So a lot of the work people see, there are very little pieces that I do or that I show that are not community focused or has some sort of community tie. So they often start with me surveying and or having a conversation with the community and the people who are going to walk past this every day. Um, and so that, of course, that drives the work. And you know, it's my personal belief that murals and public art in general are the thermometer of a community. So it should speak for the community and speak about the community. And so that's really the that's really the inspiration behind the work. Other than that, it's that cliche answer of life, right? Like the things that are inspiring you in the moment and what you're trying to say, and the challenges you're facing maybe at the time. But I would say the majority of my work is community focused and driven and inspired. That's a great question. I don't think anything should be anything. Like there's and the reason I say it like that, and I know that sounds funny, like, you know, you can't force art to be a box. That's what makes it art. Like art's definition is that it can be anything, right? It's a problem that fits to help you hopefully amplify or push an idea forward. Um, so, but I mean, me personally, I use art as this tool to kind of help amplify either my voice or some other entity's voice. So, a lot of it is activism for me, and a lot of it is a platform that hopefully makes people think. So it's not really, I actually don't think, this is a better way to answer your question. I don't think that art should give you a final answer. It should always make you think, right? It should pose a question. And that question should not be, that answer to that question should not be pointed to in art, if you will, right? So it is not something, if you mean activism in the way of like showing people the light, then I don't agree that it should be. But if you mean activism in the way of making people think on their own to come to their own conclusion about that, then I actually probably think almost all of it should be, right? Like it art is this way of speaking without words, which hopefully is more freeing and does not have a prescribed like thought. That thought should come genuinely from the way you as an individual experience it. And that's what makes art successful. It's not this concrete language, which is why, you know, human beings are so drawn to art. It's like part of the human condition because we look at it and we take what we want from it or what we feel from it or what we're inspired from it. And that makes it successful or unsuccessful to us, right? If it made us feel something, then it's done its job. Yeah, I mean, my interest in murals definitely came from graffiti culture. That's what I grew up around. Like I saw my friends doing that stuff. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, like in Philly, you can't walk down a block without seeing a mural. And those murals are very community focused. They're always talking about something or someone. and posing that question about the community. And so I was very surprised in that. The reason I use paint and, especially like spray paint, like, is because that's what I was mimicking what I saw. So it was very much a copycat scenario. Um, the way I start a mural. So this is a hard question because it's all over the place. There's different scenarios for different things. I know I'm the happiest when I don't have to nail down a concrete sketch around something because it allows me to be a little bit more free on the wall and like design. I was not totally design as I go because I always know what I'm doing, but it allows me to have creative liberty while I'm painting.
Right.
So I like it to be as loose as possible when I start with that main idea, to then be able to add and give myself room to not kind of get bored and locked to an image and really kind of just like feel out the space in the wall and think about how people are going to experience it when it's done.
Right.
Yeah, so it's funny that the first comment you just said, it's actually not like it's really tough. As I think personally as a public artist, it's hard because it never turns out the way you envision, and you don't. I'm sure you do some type of art, whether maybe it's not visual art, but the things that people think that you're good at, sometimes you question that because it's not turning out the way you want it to turn out.
I get
Um,
that. Yeah.
yeah, so but those are the things that you need to quiet and just create. And so even if you don't like it, which there are a ton of murals that I don't like or might not be as fond of as everyone else, just just the process of creating a mural is why I like doing it. I'm just in love with the process. I don't particularly love all the murals that I do. Um, and so that makes it a little bit, it separates like finished product from process, if you will. Success really is if a community or a entity accepts the final result of the project and it makes people think and it kind of does the job in which it was sought to do. Um, I don't think that I asked myself about the success of the mural because the 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 process to actually create that mural, and I'm thinking about community engagement murals specifically. The
Mhm.
process that I used to create that mural, the community is already so much ingrained in it. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
it's not as simple as me designing a piece of art and then saying, "Hey, do you like this?" and them saying yes, and then me going and painting. It it's research and concepts and making sure that everything that is on that in that concept has a meaning that goes beyond honestly my knowledge. It goes in from the people who are in that community or in that neighborhood or on that street knowing about and talking about, and so it means something a lot deeper than just the final image.
Mm.
That is what makes it successful to me when it the mural goes beyond just me. So for the last question, my favorite moment of being an artist was becoming a full-time artist, like actually doing my first project and sustaining that like first year as a full-time artist was probably the best the best moment in my professional career because it's really hard to do. A lot of people think it depends on your talent, and it really doesn't. Like to do anything, you need to know the business of it in general. And you always spend more time doing the business of something than actually doing the something. And that's just because that's the way the world works. We just live in a society where you have to, the business is what keeps you sustainable, not the product, not the art. So that's my um best moment, especially as someone who wanted to do that in the first place and didn't think that it was possible, right? So I went into architecture because I didn't think that was possible. So actually becoming a full-time artist uh that moment.
Mhm.
What was the other question? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I think I lost like my question and the answer. That was
It's
so.
right.
It must be like such a proud feeling that you get like when you like think to yourself like I didn't think I could do it, but here I am. Like I'm a full-time artist and I'm making it work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely a problem. It's tough, because every day is different and it's a lot of work. I think a lot of people think that artists just wake up and go like, "What am I going to paint today?" And
No.
that's totally not how it goes. Um, but yeah, it's been working. I've made it work, and it's been a journey. It's been a ever evolving journey too. I'm in a way different stage than I was, 14, 13 years ago. And, I think, it's the cliche is that you do something that you accomplish and you think, hey, I've made it. I'm a successful artist and I'm doing what I want to do. But that feeling has never come to pass. It's always, okay, I know that I've said I want to do this, but in this evolution, like, let's try this now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and evolving is necessary also. It's part of sustainability. Um, so yeah, so it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that I'm up to and that I enjoy and always looking forward to growing and evolving in it. Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, my brand has really just been an evolution of what I've wanted to do and what I believe in art. Um, the the changing of it really, honestly, is easy because it really just it like follows how what I'm interested in, and then also like recently my age. Like I'm a lot older now than I was. And for like the last, 12 years, 13 years, I've been doing like 40 murals a year and
Oh wow.
I'm tired. I don't want to do, I don't have the same like get up and go that I had before because I'm tired from all those other years. So, I'm constantly thinking about how that looks in the future,
Mhm.
uh, and thinking about, you know, legacy too, like how I want to help uplift all those who are coming after me. And the natural evolution of that is by helping other artists and being a representative of the things that I didn't have, trying to be a full-time artist. So, I'm in a lot of classrooms now, not as a teacher, um, but as I don't know, as a resident or as, just someone with experience
Mhm.
and I partner with a lot of schools to do work in their classrooms. And also Mending Walls is a nonprofit now, so I'm the co-director of a nonprofit. So,
Oh, wow.
I do a ton of stuff outside of just public art, and I expect that to grow. And I'm, just like, 15 years ago, I was working to be this full-time artist. Now I'm working to be this director, and I'm a public speaker now, and I'm a somewhat of a teacher now. You know what I mean? So I'm working to do different avenues that really complement the work that I've done over my career.
Wow.
Um, well, I mean, I'm super proud of Mending Walls. Mending Walls is there was, when I created Mending Walls, it was really just a response to um the moment. And it was a way that I could give a platform to my community to talk about, the issues that were going on in that moment. Um, and so there were so many people behind that project and that work uh, that I couldn't just let it like die there. And especially it having this nationally recognized Emmy Award winning documentary that came out about it. And um, so it now, like, moving forward, it being this nonprofit, um, and it's taking so much work to kind of like move it on. So I'm really proud of that and the team that I work with to make that happen. Um, I've man, there's I if I named one project, I feel like I'd be remiss for the others. But I mean, right now I'm currently working with VCU Health and VCU Mob Studio to do a mural recognizing Bruce Oliver Tucker, um, and he was the first successful heart transplant at VCU Health, but
Oh,
uh,
wow.
he also there's a whole story about that his heart was actually uh, was taken without permission,
Oh,
and so projects like that where I get to speak for and speak with, not for, speak with uh, the community and the family and um, about highlighting history so that it doesn't happen again. Um, and profound things in my community that mean that mean something to a lot of people is really important. So that's one that I'm working on now. And I'm working on a lot of others, but I'm thankful that I have been a huge part in Richmond being this big art city now.
mhm.
Uh, I'm, one of many, but I'm thankful of that and that this city looks like a 180 of what it started. It no longer feels weird to me. It feels very progressive and where I also feel like we're reshaping what Richmond looks like um, since 2020, right? Like the monuments came down and the city is kind of building its identity now. And so I'm just thankful that my city supports me so much. I can't, man, the things that I've gotten to do here. Um, and I'm just thankful to be in a position to do them. In my opinion, and everyone's different, but I think the biggest challenge that artists face is the fear of perfection. I think a lot of artists are very scared to show their work because of perfection, because of the fear of perfection. I think that there are a lot of artists who also don't believe in their work because of that. And process. Like I think especially now, like you all live in this world where there's Instagram and everything is curated and you know what I mean? It just turns out perfect. And
Yeah.
that's not reality. That's very much curated and a fallacy to make it look that way. Um, and so I think the biggest challenge for artists is to like not fall into that and to really kind of just like be in and outside of your studio, create, but also share,
Mm.
and be in communion with your art community and be in communion with your community in general, and let your art serve as a purpose for something. It doesn't have to be like me. It doesn't have to, you don't have to do murals. You don't have to do whatever, but art being in service of other people is what I think the function of art really is. Again, it's supposed to pose a question. And so even if it's just to get people to think, it should be it should be shown, and it should live in other people's heads as well. And the fear of that holds a lot of people back to not show because of that perfection. So that's, I think, what the hardest part for an artist is. Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a tool. Like, I think it's like anything else, right? I mean, of course, it's more advanced than anything else we've had, because this is where we are in time. But like, it's a tool, and it can be used as a tool. It can be overused. It can absolutely be overused. But it's a tool that can be used by artists or anyone else to create a different type of product. I think when people try to create the same product is where we run into where I kind of don't believe in it. When you are using it to create more of what has already been, then it gets a little dicey for me. But when you can use it to push the limits of what you believe art is, then it can be really cool. And that's kind of up to the user to do, and to recognize what they're doing while they're doing it. And so it's in its rawest form, it feels very cold and soulless to me.
Yeah.
But it's because it is AI. It doesn't have a soul. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
When it comes from a person, it does. And you can inject your soul into that, and you can make something that no one has ever thought of. And that could be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's up to you, the user, to kind of like determine what that is. My advice is really simple. It's honestly, go for it. And be very mindful that when you go for it, it's not just about your talent or what you create. You also have to be mindful of who you're going for it for, and how you're kind of servicing them in that, which falls into like the business, right? I think that's one of the biggest things missing from art schools in general all over, is no one teaches students the business. And it's probably because the business can look different everywhere. And so when you're doing your work, I think you should be thinking about what it's for, who it's for, and why do the people you're trying to get it to need it? You know what I mean? Like, almost like, it's almost like it's not almost like it is like, when you're selling something to somebody, like, you're not going to go to the Arctic and sell all of those people t-shirts, right? Like, why long sleeves or hoodies? Not hoodie, you know what I'm saying? They need winter coats. Or you're not or the opposite, you're not going to go to the desert and sell winter coats, right? Like, why are you doing that? And so being mindful of all of that is what is going to make you successful and in demand or not, you know?